Hey, folks, another day. Wednesday the 6th. Cheers. Saying hello. That's really what it is, saying hello. Folks, let me know in the comments that, this is important to you, and so I'll say hello. Guy Davis in Montreal. I don't know him personally. Heard of him, yeah. No, I'm not holding back my opinions, I'm not, and the whole Super Tuesday last night, utterly it's just utterly disappointing. That's all I have to say. So, yesterday I received this from the filmmaker, Michelle Highway, who recently finished this documentary on shaman singer, former Can frontman Damo Suzuki. Energy, a documentary about Damo Suzuki. I had gone ahead and rented this to watch on Vimeo recently when he died. I went ahead and because I wanted to see how this turned out. And I'm happy to say that for the most part, it's not exploitive. That's always a concern. To me, it would be his predicament. He with the being diagnosed with cancer and his health situation, being given a short window of time to live, and she's with him for 5 years following him. I'm certain there's times that we don't see where it was not the greatest thing for him to be being followed by someone making a documentary about his struggle with cancer. She wants to come on and be interviewed. She was real upfront about it, and I said, "Well, I'll see. I don't need to be. Don't. I'm not being coy. I'm being honest. It's like that's like the sixth person now. I can make a list now of the people who are wanting to get on my channel now, and I'm considering it because it's like I'm not in business. I'm not being paid to do this. I'm doing this because I want to. And again, let me point out in the all of the past interviews that I've wanted to do, part of what's the joy of what you see is that fact that I want to be doing it. It's not a job. So, Michelle, if you see this, I'm thinking about, having you on. Are people interested in hearing her story about making the documentary? Let me know. There's some other artists who I have their records, but at this point, I don't have a motivation for having them on to talk. That may change. I want to keep this fun for me. So that's how I'm pursuing this. So as I was, and this is also from England, so it won't play on my Blu-ray player. It plays on my computer, but that is a thing. I'm not a big movie watcher, so I just have a basic Blu-ray player. I don't have something where you can change the region. Are there? I'm sure there's players where you can, but thankfully this plays on my computer. I'm gonna watch it all the way through again before I decide in discussing the movie with, excuse me, Michelle. She and Damo were guests on Sublime Media's channel, Jonas. That was interesting. So we'll do it like that. If you see this again, I hope that you weren't too bothered by my honesty, Joshua. After my first impression was what I said. I'll try these things again. Something more may come through on the second play, but I need to be honest, okay? And honesty isn't always popular. No, it's not. So thank you for the feedback yesterday, folks. I just speak my mind about things, and we are in some really strange times. This political situation is really, really disappointing. I will not reduce myself to saying it's frightening. It's alarming, but it's too bad because it's going on. It's just every time I look for a glimmer of hope of objective people coming to their senses about power, it doesn't happen. It's just off the chain. So yesterday my blind pull was John Coltrane, and what a beautiful one it was, or the day before. Yesterday I did a blind pull, and it was Slowdive, Pygmalion. I hadn't listened to this in a while. This is uneven. This album is uneven. Ruti, the opening track, is the track that makes the album. I bought this out at Amoeba, and at the time, it's a boot. It's a bootleg. It's not an official release. And I was noticing while I listened to it last night that, it's not the best pressing either. Of course, I have the CD, but this is not something I play a lot. But it was nice. Ruti is the track on here that I really like a lot. The other dedicated plays that I did yesterday, because I was in the studio. I'm starting to rehearse. I don't have a show until April, but I'm starting to put together what I'm going to do. And so I worked on that yesterday. But besides that, I played some Magma, all of this, all three sides, Ka, Kantarkos, and Tyria. This is reissued, came out originally, I think, in 2003. The sound quality on this is so I had to kind of EQ it, which I don't mind doing, to get the power. This band is very powerful. I love this band. I love the propulsive action of the music. Everything is percussive in Magma, literally. Everything that's happening is percussive and powerful. I did blind pulls yesterday, and these are what they are. It was like, my thought was, let me play these motherfucking records now. Let me play these records. That's my silly voice. And so I pulled this, John Martyn, Inside Out. Found this used decades ago. Beat. The record is in good shape, but the cover, someone liked this album. This is very good. But what's interesting is, I'm not drawn to people who drink and their drinking is an obvious part of their art. Tom Waits is an example. He is good. Tom Waits is good. His persona does not appeal to me. This is really good. There's parts where his drinking is so obvious in his singing. It's like, dang, man, put the motherfucking bottle down, dog. Love that island. But what's interesting is that there's a lot of instrumental parts on this album where the band just grooves. I believe it's Danny Thompson on bass. I know Danny Thompson was with him for a long time, and it sounds like I'm looking for credits. I'm not seeing them. I really enjoyed this, whole album. Some of the words where he's just going on and on about a woman, cannot relate. I can't relate. But that was cool. So I don't often. It's seldom that I think of myself, I want to listen to John Martyn. Here's a record that goes back to adolescence when I met a fellow named Wes Van Ness, whose record collection blew my mind. He turned me onto a whole lot of underground European music that I had no idea about. And I thought I knew stuff. He was the first person I knew with this album, an original. This is not an original. Stephen Maxwell von Braund, Monster Planet. Wes was really into synthesizers and Hawkwind and stuff. And so he actually bought a light show and would put on light shows in his living room while playing records for his friends. And he didn't do drugs either. Very fascinating man. So this is an interesting album where it's kind of raw, and they're doing a lot with little. Monster Planet, I mean, literally, there's a part where he starts screaming at Monster Planet, and it's these wig outs on the synthesizer. But they also show with Crystal Forest, that track that they can really play, and someone knows how to write music. And so this is actually pretty cool and listenable. It's not just a curio. This is worth listening. And that cover, the cover is so tasteless. What are people thinking? Another Blind Pull. Fantastic. Dave Holland jumping in. You can see who's playing with him. Okay. Kenny Wheeler stands out on here. I got to meet Dave Holland, seen him play twice. Sorry to say that when I met him, I was a fanboy and was geeky and got on his nerves, and it showed. And I apologize, but I was being a fanboy. It's Dave Holland. This is wonderful, though. There's a bit of New Orleans on some of this. But that's what I like about Dave Holland, is that he is the whole gamut. So we'll start at Mardi Gras, and then we'll go out. We'll go out free, avant-garde, and do it like we really know how to. This is a great album. Music is fantastic. One more, because this surprised me. Yesterday, the polls, it was okay. Yeah, it was like, okay, basically a poll day for Dereck. It was like, let me play these records. What am I doing here? Let me just play these records. Also, there was an outage on Facebook yesterday, which I did notice, but I don't tend to be on Facebook and that's all I'm doing. I incorporate my social media involvement with what I'm doing here: music, reading, messing with the house, whatever I'm doing. It's not, it's not my central focus. It's on and off. It's part of my deal. So I noticed the outage. I was glad when I figured out that it wasn't me, because I thought that it at first, did I do something to make them cut me off? Got a hold of a friend and said, "Are you having problems?" And he's, yeah, and then we found out, probably because of Super Tuesday. So I was listening to music, and this was a real surprise. Probably the surprise of the day. I've had this for a while. Gershon Kingsley. Much silence. Gershon Kingsley is another one of the early people who pushed synthesizers into the mainstream. Popcorn, Jean-Jacques Perry, those guys. He's one of those guys who did that. And so he's got some quirky pieces of music that he's known for. This is beautiful. This is Gershon Kingsley showing everyone how to do it. It's in the meditative Tangerine Dream area. Not just Tangerine Dream. I'm thinking, I can't think of the name because it's like, this is like really good. He plays piano and keys as well as synthesizers, creating orchestral settings. This is beautiful. I was really surprised. Played the whole thing. Much silence. It was really enjoyable and made me happy that it's like I'm resisting the knee-jerk need to go to the store. There's no need. It's just something I do. Another blind pull that ended up with this is going to go into the trade pile. Gnod. Infinity Machines. It drones and it drones and it moves slowly and it's a 3 LP thing. And it's like, as I listened to it, I said, I will never play that again. I'm trading that out. It's not that it's bad, but what it does is somewhat, not really that similar to this, but I'd probably play this again sooner than I'd play that. There's more variety here. And I just saw there's another thing that I played the other day on CD. It's the compilation, New Africa 2, put out by Celluloid. The Celluloid, I think that's a French-based label, I think, or maybe it's New York. But this is a nice sampler of people on the Celluloid label from Africa. Mano Dibango, Fela is on here, Toure Kunda. It's a good program. Enjoyed that. So one more thing here. Let me see if I find it before I go. Glad to hear some folks are listening to the David Nance. So this person said this, well, we project certain aspects through these avatars, talking about how I was saying that we tend to, a lot of people try to put on a front, try to appear to be something they're not. And the person said, well, we project certain aspects through these avatars, true, but there's also a necessity of privacy for various reasons. It can be part of the effort to raise one's self, which is considering how one's words and actions will most likely affect others. Question? Well, my response is, be true to the self. Be right with yourself, because the person that you really have to live with is you. We're way overly concerned with other people's reactions and what other people think, when the bottom line is people don't give a damn. They don't give a damn about you like you need to give a damn about yourself. People killing themselves and driving themselves to drink and altering their bodies and doing all kinds of weird stuff, looking for approval from other humans who frankly don't give a shit. We care only for our own reasons. People don't care for your reasons. People don't care about you like you ought to care about yourself, is what I'm saying. So all of this unnecessary energy of trying to project a false image or impress people, this idea of privacy, what? I don't even get that. Be yourself. Don't be afraid. No one has power over you except the power you give to them. And get this message. Probably don't like it, the way I'm saying it. People don't give a fuck about you. They don't give a fuck about me. Someone just wrote that. Actually, there's a comment recently where the person says, I care about you. Well, I believe it. But that care is in them. They're not here in my home, in my life. So them saying they care about me is fine, but they're not here living, caring for me, caring about me. And that's the point I'm trying to make. Care about yourself. Take care of yourself. Recognize the power of self-acceptance and self-love. A lot of what happens with powerful people, if you want to put it like that, because everyone wants power, is the secret to people, I think, that I'm drawn to who are powerful, is that they reflect out from the inside what's happening with them, as opposed to them looking for the outside to tell them how to feel, looking for the approval, for the thumbs up that says, "Oh, I'm okay now. If they said so, they said so. I guess so." That's part of the equation, but the part that we don't wrestle with, that we ought to, is this the self, the inner voice that talks to us. Who am I really? Fronting and false images has a lot to do with why the world is in such sad shape now, because of, I'll say it again, Super Tuesday, the biggest con man. I just shake my head. So work on the self. See your own value. Try to reflect how you feel about yourself to others, rather than waiting for others to tell you if you're okay or not. You might be surprised how good it feels and how strong you can be by caring about yourself. Cheers, people.